This time, we're going historic car racing. I'm at an event called the MG Classic, which is run by the MG Car Club. This event has been going for about 40 odd years now. It's held at a track here in the North Island of New Zealand called Manfield. Manfield was actually built in the early 1970s, and Chris Amon was involved in the track design. And in fact, Amon actually grew up on a farm not far from here. And now I'm supposed to be here racing myself, but unfortunately my car isn't ready yet. I'm still building it. But I thought I'd just come along as a spectator and film some of the highlights for you guys. This beautiful Mustang is a genuine 1969 Boss 302 and it's owned by Dale Mathers. Dale, alongside Tony Roberts and myself, were actually the original founders of the Historic Muscle and Saloon Car Racing Group. This is a Holden Toranas L34 owned by Colin Campbell. It's quite new to the group, painted up in the colours of the Peter Brock and Brian Sampson Torana that won Bathurst in 1975. This Mark I Escort, painted up in the livery of the 1973 Broadspeed cars, is owned by Paul McCarthy. It's powered by a 2-litre BDG engine with mechanical fuel injection, alloy block and everything. It's a really nice piece of kit and a super fast little car. It's also actually a genuine RS 1600, and it's one of the first 100 pre-AVO cars built too, so it's actually quite rare. Another BDG Escort, this one owned by Grant Sprague, and it's painted up in the colours of a Escort twin cam that Grant's older brother Gary raced in the New Zealand Saloon Car Championship in 1969 and 70. Sprague family has a really long history in New Zealand motorsport, and I just wanted to show you this here, which I thought was pretty cool. It's actually the Sprague family crest attached to the side of the car here. Next is the super rare Datsun 240K owned by Mike Corey. These cars obviously share the same body shell as the second generation Nissan Skyline. This right here is a 1969 Ford Capri owned by John Sampson, and despite what the registration says, it is not an RS 2600, but it is a German assembled 2300 GT, basically the precursor to the RS 2600. As you see, it's a left hooker. It's been in New Zealand for since 1974, I believe, and John has owned the car since the 1990s, been racing it since 1997, so 25 odd years or more. This is Mike McCorn's Ford Falcon GTHO Phase 3, obviously not a real GTHO, nobody races those anymore, they're too valuable. But a really nice replica, and one of 3 cars that the McCorn family campaigns in this group. And alongside it is his brother Brady's Ford Piranha, which is the South African V8 powered version of the V6 Capri. It's running a 302. We've got a handful of Chevy Camaros running in the group, including this beautiful second generation model owned by Glenn Ellingham. Small block powered car, doesn't run the big block. It's got the full bumper as well, full length bumper, same as what they ran in the Trans Am. And this 68 model Camaro sitting alongside is owned by Richie Malin, and it's actually quite a special car with a lot of history. It's an old SCCA A sedan, built as a race car in the United States about 1974 or so, Been in New Zealand about sort of 10 years now, but yeah, a really nice addition to the group. Another of the Mustangs, really nice 67 model here, owned by James Buchanan, and this is actually his very first event in the car. Beautiful Mark I Escort here, owned by Elliott Frame, painted up in the iconic Alan Mann racing colours, red and gold. Elliott, you'll notice this car is actually sitting quite tall on its suspension compared to the other Escorts in the group, and that is because Elliott, as well as historic circuit racing, Elliott also runs it in tarmac rallies. Mark I Escort here, owned by Tony Durham. I love this car, it's amazing. Painted up in the colours, is another of the tribute colour scheme here, but painted up in the colours of the car raced by Yvette Fontaine in the 1971 European Touring Car Championship, with Fontaine being a Belgian Ford factory racing driver. Another of the Mark I Escorts here, this one BDG powered, mechanical fuel injection. It's owned by Roger Williams, and Roger imported it out of Sweden a few years ago to come and run with this group. You see there, left hooker. What do you think of the passenger seat? Now check out this stunner. This is Gary Ratty's Australian-made Ford Falcon XA hardtop. It's actually raced this weekend by Gary's son Jason, and he drives the thing really well, and it is a stunner too. I'll show you just inside here one of my favourite features of this car. Right there you can see they still use the original ignition and the original keys. Ha! How cool is that? Another of the Mark I Escorts here, this one here built by rallying legend Neil Allport, originally for Greg Gowdy to come and race in this group, but these days it's owned by Andy Nugent. Again, mechanical fuel injection on top of a 2-litre BDG motor. These top BDG motors are kicking out about 280 horsepower in a package weighing about 790 kilograms, or about 1,740 pounds. You can see why they're so quick. Now here's some eye candy for you. This is Paul Christie's genuine Mark I RS 2000 Ford Escort, and it's running a 2-litre Ford Pinto block, but it's topped with a super rare new old stock Piper twin cam head and Lucas sliding block fuel injection. Now check out this little lineup. So the Capri GT here, the Ford Capri GT, is owned by Natalie Campbell, and Nat has been racing Capris since she was a teenager. Alongside is the beautiful Ford Anglia of Pat Exel, and alongside that is another beautiful Ford Anglia of Michael Fitzpatrick, another Anglia owned by Grant Fitzpatrick, and another Anglia owned by Clyde Walters. And this little lineup of cars here was probably just about the most popular at the event. A relative newcomer to the Historic Muscle and Saloon Cars fleet is this beautiful second generation Pontiac Firebird owned by John Mills. Now this is a tribute car to the original BFG radial sponsored Firebird that contested the 1971 SCCA Trans Am series. Where this car differs to the original is that this is Pontiac powered, whereas the original car was actually Chevy powered. Now this here is a really neat piece of cool motorsport history. This is one of about 25 Group 2 turnkey race cars built by Shelby American in 1967. Shelby kept 4 of those cars for themselves to test the SCCA Trans Am series, and they sold the rest of them to independent teams. This car was bought brand new by a Kiwi or a New Zealander named Norm Barry, and he raced it for 1 year, and then he sold it to Red Dawson, who painted it up in this beautiful metallic blue livery with the gold numbers down the side. And Dawson went on to win the New Zealand Saloon Car Championship with this car, so yeah, it's got some real history. This beautiful 1969 Chevy Camaro is raced by David Hopper, and it sports the colour scheme of the ZL1 Camaro that Bob Jane drove to the 1971 and 72 Australian Touring Car Championships. This is a small block powered car which Bob's was in 1972, so it's a really cool tribute.